ladies and gentlemen, and welcome to the season finale review of Peacemaker. I'm the Clown Prince of Podcast, Trask Snell, 2 weeks away from the Batman, and I'm joined by,
The BFF, Kirklin Patzer.
finally,
I'm the Ants, Taylor Field.
we got a good one to talk about. So lots of things coming up. We got multiple newscasts to drop this week. Me and Dylan next week are we're going to be reviewing Horizon Forbidden West. I keep wanting to call it Zero Dawn still, but Forbidden West. I'm just
Forbidden
Horizon
Coast?
too. Yeah, Forbidden Coast. Yeah, Pacific Coast. But lots of stuff happening there. Will be newscasts. Me and Taylor going to do a review for Texas Chainsaw Massacre in 2 weeks. Like I said, as a Batman. That week of the Batman, you're going to get a cast every single day from this guy. I'm going to have to throw it to Taylor and take a drink because apparently I can't speak at all right now. I'm just so excited to talk about Peacemaker. So, Taylor Field, where can they find us?
Ladies and gentlemen, you can find us with your internet connection. In the search bar, GeekVerse.ca is our home base. GeekVerse Cast is our Twitter, and GeekVerse on the Facebook.
Exactly, and go down the links below because you can find everything we do, where to find us, the video, audio, how to support us, whether it's Geekverse, whether it's the multiple feeds, whether it is our podcast network with 8 shows. We're popping off everywhere. But if you want to support us big time and really, as we've talked about before, you got to, I think it will be next week. You got a Comic Virgins dropping. You got stuff like Side Quest. All the other side Geekverse things that we do to pump up the channel is all because of you guys. Your support, your funds literally fund more content, so we thank you. And in turn, you get ad-free exclusive early episodes. The Dark Knight, or just the retros for the Batman, will be ending next week. We're releasing one that's never been out to the public. It's me and Dylan doing a retrospective on Arkham Asylum, actually. So that was a really fun one. We didn't complete the trilogy because that's when Dylan moved, so it all went to shit. But we got Arkham Asylum in there. Maybe one day we'll complete that trilogy. But then also Harry Potter starts. So you got Philosopher's Stone right now, and Chamber of Secrets will be dropping sometime next week. So just, do you want to subscribe where we are? Because we're just overflowing with content. You know what else is overflowing? The love for Peacemaker, because we're going to talk about Peacemaker. But before we do, they announced this a few days ago that it's already been renewed for a season 2, which I'm sure we'll talk about, maybe some things that might happen. And it's been revealed that James Gunn is going to write and direct every single episode this time. So I think he did the majority of them this time, if not at least half. But yeah, he's back, and I've said this many times before, but if you didn't think he's going to be a DC guy after Guardians, this is he's fully in business here. But Taylor, also we're going to talk about the finale, but are you excited that we're going to be getting more next? Well, they didn't say next year, but just in the coming years we'll be getting more Peacemaker.
I'm excited. I think that the story has a lot that it can expand with. I mean, where we've come so far, there's still a lot of different avenues to pursue with this character and the characters that are associated with him. Leaves the door open for opportunity of new characters to join into the kind of the whole party mix, I guess you could say. So with how James Gunn did this first season, I'm very intrigued to see, with him being much more invested into this sequel series, what he's going to kind of deliver and what he's going to kind of come up with. So yeah.
What about you, Kirkland? You excited for some more Peacemaker?
Yeah, I definitely am. This is a show that I didn't love, but I definitely liked pretty much every episode. So, it's one that I'm it was fun to follow week to week and talk about with you guys. And I liked also just like the threat level for the show. I thought it fit really well for just this world of Peacemaker, and I really grew to love pretty much the whole cast. So I'm glad to going forward. I'm not just saying goodbye to everyone in this season, so that's nice. And yeah, I'm just excited to expand on the world even more.
Yeah, so let's talk about how we're getting to that world, because this is the end of season 1. So as usual, we will not say anything spoiler-wise until we get there. And make sure you go watch the episodes. There's some big things. And make sure you don't complain on Twitter if you've been spoiled, because I will say some stuff happens in this finale. And always when these big finales or things happen, oh, I got spoiled on Twitter, all blah, blah. And I get it. And I was having a conversation with this about actually from Ray from Fans of With Borders, and we've been on Vodka Stream with him. And he's completely on the other side. And I see his points where I go, I get it. People are assholes. They're dicks. Like, we shouldn't have to deal with people that are trying to spoil things for people. But it's going to be like, it has been like that for the past decade. It's going to be like that till we die. And for me, maybe it sounds bad. You just have to look at the lay of the land and see the situation and adapt to it. And that's where it's like, it sounds bad for me to say, but I don't feel bad for anybody that got spoiled on this, because just log off for a day, you mute words, you mute notifications. But literally, I've done that many times. You just log off. You just don't check Twitter at all. It's just non-existent. And that's why I think some people are just they had this thing like, oh, I had to, I got spoiled. I think you just got to admit that you might be addicted to Twitter. And I like that. One of my Twitter users was like, yeah, I am addicted to Twitter, but that's why I don't get mad when I get spoiled. It's like, that's the perfect response to have. And that's just, again, I had that today where it's just like, man, all you have to, especially for lots of these people that watch in the morning, just don't do it. And it's the same thing on our podcast. If you haven't seen it, go watch it, then come back. I don't know. I have no sympathy for people that get spoiled these things. It's routine. We know how this goes. Oh boy. So
did you get it spoiled today, Travis?
No, I didn't. No, because you know what? I didn't go on Twitter till I watched the episode, because I knew, it's the finale of Peacemaker. Something big might happen. And it's obviously different with us because we watch Mandalorian and stuff at midnight. But all like the week of the Batman, I will be off Twitter timeline. And the thing like people don't understand, I guess, is you can check your DMs without looking at your timeline. You can send tweets without looking at your timeline. Brent taught me this, that you can actually block notifications. So if I tag Kirklin, you can block the preview. So you could go into your notifications and look, but you don't have to get it shoved in your face. There's just so many avenues not to get spoiled. But today, because of some things that happened in this episode, there's so many of just like, oh, people always spoiling stuff, blah, blah, blah. It's not even been out for 6 hours and people are spoiling stuff. Don't go on Twitter. Don't be so addicted. Like, it's just an app. Log off for a bit. Go touch some grass. Go eat some nachos. Listen to some music. Like, it's not like this. It's such a minute thing of like, it's so easy. And I understand like Ray and other people's point of like, we shouldn't have to do that. Yeah, we shouldn't, but people are always going to be dicks. People, like, so many of these people with these, like, fake names, and they don't have a picture of themselves on profile, like, come on. And Family Glacier is sharing all the Batman spoilers after the first. Now, he can do this on, well, actually, I don't agree with this. This is a mini rant here. Once the movie or show is wide release, then it's fair game. Early screenings, previews, or if you're like a critic who saw it weeks earlier, no, that's not. And Clay, if you DM me with spoilers, you will be fired from this network.
I was gonna say
legitimately this time.
That's the dangerous thing, like DMing spoilers to someone. That's a whole new realm.
Yeah, 100%. Like I don't know. It was
targeted attack.
It just reminded me, and I had a good thread today, and like that's a good thing. A thread of people that disagree with me and agree with me. It was just like I just don't get it. It's the easiest thing. Just don't look at that app for a bit. Your phone has so many things you can do with it. You don't got to go with the blue bird. Just
we have a rule in the GeekVerse chat. A month before you drop spoilers. Yeah.
Yeah, and GOA we do the same when everyone checks, but that's not the internet, right? Those are private chats. The internet is wide, and people want to react or people want to be jerks. But I don't know. I don't feel bad. So people, like I said, just find ways. Watch the minefield. So. Taylorfield, what did you think about this? No, I was going to say first episode. This last episode.
Non-spoilers, right?
Non-spoilers, yeah. Clay said, I've never heard of people tagging people in order to spoil them. That as well. I'd heard that from people, like when I started listening to podcasts, I heard many podcasters that would happen where it's like, oh, I'm going to go see the movie, and they get tagged as like a fuck you sort of deal. Like let's say if I like the Batman, right, and I just told someone to go fuck themselves, like some 1-star person on Apple Podcasts, right? I say, hey, Flaming Hot Cheetos, go fuck yourself for that 1 star for saying my room's too green. He may see the Batman March 1st, find my Twitter handle, and then send me that, which I guarantee you right now someone's listening. But that's not going to happen because I'm going to be logging off and people won't be able to message me, because the people that message me, I'll be allowing them to. But that's what would happen is they just want to,
That's what we do. It's our tactic we use against our competition podcasters just to...
Yeah. Yeah, that's what we'll start doing, yeah. Anyway, so non-spoiler thoughts of the finale of Peacemaker.
I mean, you said you gave us a spoiler warning early on, and I'm glad you did, because this episode was full of like plentiful surprises and a couple really kind of good conclusive elements to wrap up this story and the characters all together, their kind of progression. And I'm quite happy with the ending we got of this season. I had one moment where I was like torn, like, oh God, like I don't know how I feel about this, but sure enough, the character in this situation went with it, or went with, their gut, and it led to some pretty awesome, a pretty awesome scene actually that followed. But there was no lack of humor in this episode. There was, hence my nickname, which I'll talk about too in spoilers. I was just laughing my head off because it was just so fucking ridiculous and pointless. So Good ending.
Yeah, I found myself like actually belly laughing quite a few times in this episode, which was awesome because there was quite a few spots throughout the show that actually had me like that. The humor just really hit me, and I'm glad there's a couple of those in the finale. Um, I'm also just really glad of like the pacing. I think of the show in general because I think this is a show that could have had like a really just clusterfuck of a finale. Hawkeye was kind of like that with just how many things they had to tackle. But like the fact that they were able to, pretty much deal with the white dragon last episode, and then they could just focus on another threat in this one. I just really liked how they spaced those out. Because yeah, it was I think it was a satisfying ending for at least the season 1, but leave it open for future stuff. But all in all, I really really like this episode. It's probably one of my favorites of the season, and yeah, humor was great. I thought the action was pretty damn awesome as well, and yeah, I really like the character moments. I think quite a few people that might have been side characters had their moment to shine. So yeah, it was lots of fun, and like I said, I really liked just the threat level that they were dealing with in this season. It didn't seem too little, but it also didn't seem like too much. I feel like maybe it was just like a slight tad too much, just to like have enough peril, like for the viewer, like, oh, can they actually do this on their own? And yeah, it was really good.
Yeah, no, I really enjoyed the episode. Now, if you were asking me like, oh, is this one of the best finales you've ever seen? No, but I think it's a perfect finale for this show as far as it has the outrageous humor moments that make you belly laugh, the moments that don't make you laugh. You have some unpredictable things that happen. You have some really, really heartfelt moments throughout the show, especially near the back half. There's tons of those where it's just, that's what was the best thing about Peacemaker and Suicide Squad and the show, that, yeah, he is this douchebag, dude bro character, but there's something more to him, and that's kind of like what this show is. Look at the opening credits of this show, right? You wouldn't think that is versus what it happens, that it would have this type of heart to it. So
You knew it was coming. I heard you hesitate there.
You got to get that land cord. Just get the 300 footer.
I'm not getting the I'm gonna search in my house and find it in this room, but I'm not getting 300 footer through my fucking house or whatever. Anyway, so it had heartfelt moments. It had great action. That was a really good thing it had. And it kind of was full circle to what we started the whole season on. And it's funny that I tweeted about this, but in a world where we've had so many, I think, disappointing to like lackluster finales of like finales that I've liked or passed or thought did a good job, like something like Dexter, where I really like the ending, but overall I still go, man, this was really rushed, or Hawkeye, or Boba Fett. Right now, a lot of these kind of big franchise IP shows with their finales, I think, have really struggled to find the perfect footing. And again, even last year, we talked about this with like WandaVision. We talked about this with Falcon Winter Soldier. To me, Loki's the only one that really, really stuck the landing. So it's one of these things that's great to see. I do vouch by, not every show, I guess, would need this, but the 8-episode runtime, I think, is good. Yeah, I think it was a really good finale. It left in a place where it's closed, but if you needed more, you could do more, and that's exactly what they're doing. And yes, there is some big surprises in here, and there's some stuff that I was shocked to see. I could not believe that they pulled off, and yeah, I really enjoyed it. I'm glad we did this weekly, because we went back and forth like, oh, should we not? And now I really am, especially for a few reasons, but I really am glad that we did this. And yeah, I like the show. James Gunn just continues to always put out quality comic book stuff, whether it's Guardians movie, Suicide Squad, or this. The guy doesn't miss. I think they're all varying degrees of good to great, but still, it's just like, to make this much stuff, and even Peacemaker, that's 8 episodes, right? So yeah, I'm very excited for season 2. I'm excited to see more of John Cena in this role, and even the side characters ended up growing to love. So anything non-spoilers before we jump over there? All right, so we're going to take our first ad break, and then we're going to be back with spoilers. So you're definitely going to want to tune out now if you've not seen it. So we'll be right back. And we're back. Family Clay says, I used to have 100 feet duct tape to the ceiling so it wouldn't be visible to guests. Just do it now. That's not the problem with the visible. It's just
So
that
ghetto, Clay.
it's
just duct
so-
tape on your ceiling.
it's like 3 rooms away where like the router is and stuff. Like I may have to, but it's just annoying. Aspo says, as I said before, this finale was what people were expecting the Boba Fett finale was going to be. Yes and no. I think the good thing with Peacemaker is it has a lot less expectations on it than Boba Fett does. Especially Boba Fett had a lot after 5 and 6. So I definitely agree as far as like even stuff like I know it's a little out of order, but when they do that action scene in the field when they're taking out all the butterflies, Boba Fett, I'm sorry. Other than Boba Fett had like him riding the Rancor and they had the back to back. There's a few moments, but for like one set piece. I don't understand Robert Rodriguez, who's known for these great action shots. That field scene was what I would have wanted from Boba Fett. I want more of just Mando and Boba doing that in the open space.
I would say the Rancor isn't the only equivalent to that. Like I would say when Boba and Mando came out of the bar and they were like,
I just said that.
I thought you said just the Rancor thing. And
no, and I literally said and Boba Mando together, but it's so small that I wanted what they did with Harcourt, Peacemaker, and Vigilante. They should have done that with those two, and they did that a little bit. And I'm not saying also you can't get rated R, and there's some fucking great kills like Peacemaker busting in that shield. He literally shoots the shield into a guy, but that field scene felt ripped right out of like a high blockbuster movie. It did not feel cheap. It did not feel made for TV, and it was hype. They had the theme song playing, and then it gets distorted. That field scene I really, really enjoyed, and that's where again it just kind of felt. It gave it that kind of epic feel as it went along. So I don't know where I'm going with that, but you guys, the floor is yours as far as what you want to talk about next. But I just wanted to shout out the field scene. Very good.
Yeah, the field scene was phenomenal. And that was kind of what I was hinting to in the non-spoiler where Diebeard kind of had a moment to shine. I wouldn't say he executed it perfectly, but, he held his own for not a field agent. He did pretty good facing down the butterflies. And, yeah, just all the combat that followed that scene. It was really well done. It was shot really well. It was a really cool location, too. Just like kind of a farm field like that with the big barn. And then some absolute destruction that followed.
It didn't end well for Diebeard though. Like I have some moments to talk about before when he does that, and then he runs back, and she's like, "I'm gonna go, help out Harcourt." And she's like, "Why? You're not even trained." And she's like, I was born for this." And she leaves, and then Diebeard goes to follow her, and he literally just like breaks his shin. Oh my god, that one!
He didn't execute it perfectly.
Yeah, that one he crawled over though, but that one that got me good. It was just like again, some of like the best times in the show is like Family Guy and the humor. Fuck that was the last thing I was expecting was Diebeard just to break his fucking shin trying to get over. But damn, it was worth it.
In the time that Adebayo got over there to the barn and after her killing spree, and then she just turns around and Diebeard's just right on the fucking ground there. Like that's a fucking like a mile. It seemed like the fact that he crawled that distance in that rate of speed just baffling.
He's hardcore, man.
Oh, yeah.
I love too, like right before the action, the op started on the barn there when they sent Eagly in to drop off the helmet. That fucking got me. I was really expecting him to like do it well, and then he just goes off to the right. They just lose the helmet. Fuck, I was
Peacemaker's
laughing.
great at a lot of things, but his biggest flaw is always overestimating what Eagly can do. And because it was this buildup of at first he's trying to take the helmet, and he won't take the helmet, and then he does in front of everybody. Even Harcourt's like, "Oh my god, he takes helmet," and you're like, "Man, yeah, he is gonna do it." And Eagly just keeps flying and flying and flying, and then just drops it in the fucking middle of the woods.
Well, it's like the thing with the hug, right? And then Adebayo doesn't believe him at all, and then she actually witnesses like, oh my god, Eagle can actually do this. It's his time to shine in the finale. Oh my god, that had me good. It was like really drawn out too. Him just slowly going off.
It took so long. Like they focused on him for so long. Oh man, that's definitely that and the shin. It's definitely up there with the. And I'm gonna make myself laugh again, but the shooting of the old woman. A few episodes of like, hey, I just want to. Like this episode had some luckily. For the most part, there was like that kind of farting competition at one point that I was not really that wasn't grinding my gears, but most of the jokes were some of those like some bangers and some top tier Peacemaker ones. So
Speaking of, oh, sorry, Taylor, you go.
I was just gonna say, following up after Eagly drops that helmet, just hence my nickname when Diebeard and Vigilante are talking about like the ants, and Vigilante just starts going off about like ants everywhere, and then Diebeard's like, yeah, they're like fish. There's so many fish too. It's like, no, there's not that many fish like all in one spot, like all as many ants are together. And he's like, dude, what the fuck are you talking about? And he's like, I don't fucking know either. And he puts his hand on his gun. I just thought this is just really great.
That's a character I'm glad is sticking around, because I quite, not all of his humor hit for me, but Vigilante was great throughout the season, I think.
He definitely grew on me. I remember from starting episode 1 and we were on the vodka stream, I remember Scott just talking about how much he hated Vigilante. And I was like, you know what, I kind of see that. It's not really doing much for me. I didn't have that pure passion that Scott did, but I was like, yeah, I don't really need him. But it's come along as like, I think, again, it helps that he is... Like, he always was supposed to be the butt of the joke, but he is really the butt of the joke. Like, he is almost supposed to be deliberately that annoying person. Now it's kind of that grow to love sort of thing. You hate to love him in a way. And, yeah, there were some good moments with him. And even action, like, man, poor cop from Scary Movie just got his head fucking annihilated by Vigilante's machete, Just
he was sick in that field scene. Vigilante was just, like, slicing and dicing like a whiz.
Oh, yeah. I love when he got shot. And he's like, oh, hang on a second. And he, like, threw his other knife backwards, and then he collapsed. Damn, that was some good shit. And even Harcourt, because I was talking about this with Clay, because he was like, oh, the rumors of Black Adam, like kind of ruined that scene for him. But for me, I remember the rumors that she's in Black Adam, but I also just thought when she got shot, like she got shot in the shoulder and then she got shot in the chest, I just thought, oh, maybe they're just fucking with us and she's not in Black Adam. Because I still think that is weird that she's in Black Adam. Like, I get it. She might be recruiting people, but I was like, really? Like, Harcourt? Like, it wouldn't be Waller? Like, and I know there's some things that happen in this show that might explain that, and the DCU might actually be starting to be fucking connected again. Who would have thunk? Like, all this stuff's happening. But for a second, I did think she was going down. Like she's shot multiple times and she's bleeding from the mouth. Did you guys worry for Harcourt at all, or?
Yeah, absolutely. I was worried for quite a few people actually, like throughout the episode. Diebeard, even before he snapped his leg, like when the butterflies were just chasing him in the field, I'm like, holy fuck, they're just gonna like tear him apart. Here.
When he was surrounded, I thought it was over for him.
Adam Bio drops that fucking walkie. I was like, oh no.
And Peacemaker just, what the fuck, dude?
How do you even do that?
My hands are sweaty. Oh, man. But yeah, I thought it was over for him. Classic, It's over for you. Like, there's so many surrounding him, and I'm just like, how is he going to get out of this? And luckily they did, like... I thought like they might still sign off, but I thought he might be dead by the time they got to it,
And like that just goes to show like what I was saying earlier about the threat level of the episode. Like I thought it was slightly above what they could have pulled off. So it was enough like, okay, maybe someone here is gonna die. I thought Vigilante was gonna die at one point. I thought Adebayo, Diebeard, Harcourt, it was pretty. It was pretty good. I feel like there's some finales where it gets to the end. It's just like, okay, this isn't even that exciting because I just know what's going to happen here. But I thought the threat level was perfect for what this show was just doing throughout the series or the season so far. So tips my hat off to them.
S-Bubs, try to remind me, if you're still running, if not, try to remind myself about the rumor and the farting competition thing, because I want to bring that up when it's about the other big thing that happened too. So we'll go back to that. Taylor, what about Harcourt? Same thing. Do you think her or any other people were going to die in this finale while you were watching?
When she got taken out like a fucking like pro. Like she tanked that shit and took the butterflies out that were coming at her. Cause shot in the shoulder and then shotgunned like in the hip. Like fuck, that's brutal. But I thought she was gonna die, and I thought, okay, this was just bullshit. Like they're just saying that she's in Black Adam, but that's completely just kibosh. Like they were just screwing with the fan base. But I thought, okay, well maybe not. Like maybe she's gonna get infected by butterfly, and they kept throwing all these left curves. Hey, she's gonna die. Nope, there's a butterfly crawling in her, and I thought the butterfly was actually gonna get into her. And then for a moment I thought, okay, well now that Goth was taken out, now they're to save Harcourt, maybe they're gonna allow Goth to take her over or something. I was just trying to figure out like what is going on. Then she looks like she died at the end, but then nope, she got to the hospital. So I'm happy she's alive. I really, really like that scene when Chris goes in there and she's like, yeah, like you waited this whole time, like for me, like make sure I was okay. I really like that scene. Like I think she delivered it with the tear coming down like her face and everything like that. But I'm glad she's still kicking. I'm glad we got the whole crew that actually survived this hot mess and coming out on top. So
Yeah, I think that was a big moment too, because we were talking about like, okay, will they kiss, have relations, and stuff like that, and the fact that he stayed there for weeks is, I think, going to show that shows his true quality and whatnot. He had his chance to show his true quality, and he did. And I think again, I like that they didn't, even though 8 episodes, it's lots of time. I like that they didn't make them like they were going that direction of a romance, but obviously we have a season 2, it'll happen. But I liked, as I've talked about before, I love that in Iron Man where Pepper and Tony don't kiss and they kind of save that, and I think that's smart here. And there's lots of options. You could make it that it's still build up. You could literally make it that when the team gets back together, they've been together this whole time, but they're like trying to keep it a secret from other people. Like and to me, that moment of him staying at the hospital for days is better than any like kiss of passion or something like that. That cements the relationship more, and it probably makes her look at him differently. It's definitely changed over time, and she has kind of warmed up to him, but this is definitely like the biggest act of like, okay, there is a decent guy. Plus I think she's talked about before, she would understand him because she's had to do many things that she regretted and didn't want to do, right? And I think they can kind of see each other on that level now. I think, unfortunately for them, the ghost of the dead dad's going to be a big monkey wrench in that situation. Like, I could feel a big situation where him and Harcourt are about to get it on, and he sees his fucking dead dad just, like, I don't know, chewing him out or, like, yelling at him and everything like that. So I think that's going to be an issue going forward. But I'm really happy that they had that scene of him killing Robert Patrick. My hashtag Travis told you is next season he's just going to keep killing him again and again. We're going to get a lot of elaborate ways to kill him. But I love that at the end that he has his ghost dad. It's his bad version of Harry, and he's there. He's just haunting him because he has this PTSD of killing his dad. I was somebody that I liked primarily what they did with the dad and him kind of like the origin and rejecting killing or trying to find a different way of killing, as far as maybe not just so carelessly of like, okay, this person's bad, or like not this person's bad, this person, it doesn't matter if they're good or bad, I've just been told to kill, I'm going to do it. I like that this thread is going to be kept open for next year because I liked it, but I want more of it, and we'll definitely get more of it. So I'm very happy that the ghost dad's going to be popping in and out. I imagine so next year.
Yeah, I like that as well. He was a terrible character in the show, everything he stood for, but I like that actor enough that I'm glad to know that he's not just off the show now that he's been killed off, and this will play really well in just developing the character of Peacemaker. So yeah, I'm glad it went that route. It led to that hilarious scene when he's just he's got to kill his dad again, and then he was about to pull out his gun, and then no, what does he even say? Like, the dad's like shitting on him for about to pull out his gun. He's like, no, I wasn't even gonna do that. I was going for the blow dart right away. And he's just like being, a terrible dad to him and just keeping him on his toes. And it's just hilarious how like little Peacemaker feels, because he just like really has to let his dad know that like he's getting the better of him here. Yes. Or maybe he's not getting under his skin. Like, he's just insecure in his own skin. So it's funny just the way that his dad shit talks him. And yeah, just, if this isn't the last time I see him die on screen, I think that'll just lead to some more good stuff, whether it's Harcourt or other characters just witnessing him, pull out a blow dart and just shoot something randomly in the world.
And it's funny because, like, we did minor spoilers for Dexter, but earlier in the season of Dexter, there were some moments where Dexter was getting heated at a character, and we're like, do other people see this, or is this just in his mind? We kind of got to answer, like, okay, it's just in his mind. So this, I wasn't even thinking about this, but then when Harcourt, like, walks up on him, and he's literally just, like, yelling at a tree, and she's like, what are you doing? He's like, oh, I'm just, and she finds the helmet, and he kind of, like, makes it seem like that's what he was doing. Like, oh, I found the helmet. Like, he was trying to play it off, like, very nonchalant. But I was very surprised that I'm all down for them knowing he was saying that, because, like you just said, Kirklin, I think it's going to lead to some interesting situations when they're on a mission and they just see him freaking out. But at the same time, it kind of fits for the more serious side of the show when they do make him seem like he is a guy suffering PTSD, because that happens a lot with people, right? They have flashbacks or they have traumatic events kind of replayed over. And obviously this is going to be play for some comedy, but I also think they're going to play it like it's just like he's for sadness, you know, like it's a really bad trait to have, and I think they will feel bad for this guy. But I was caught off guard that that's the choice they're doing, that people are going to be able to see him yelling at his dad, and I'm sure it's going to lead to some interesting situations for the cast and crew.
I think
I thought he was not going to say anything. Listeners, I literally said that to Taylor, and Taylor's like shaking his head like, yeah. I was kind of trying to transition to Taylor maybe give his thoughts on this, but he's like, yeah, Travis, you're right. That's going to be a good one.
Yeah. No, I do
Super
think
Bowl
that
did well.
Super Bowl did very well. True and true.
True.
I think that whole setup of the dad just kind of coming into being like not like a spirit, but just kind of looming over him as a mental issue, I think is great. I think it's a fantastic way to keep the character alive. And just like you mentioned, Kirklin, just he's talking shit and how he's just calling out Peacemaker. He's like, yeah, you took out my physical body, but I'm still there in the mind. Like, and him just like struggling, like, I wasn't going for my gun, and you know, because the butterflies will hear it, and the dad's like, oh, god damn it, I almost got you. Like, holy shit, like, this is so fun.
Yeah.
And then when he's just sitting there in Harcourt's just seeing him for this long period of time, just talking to himself, really, and just it cuts out from like him blowing the like little dart on the guy's forehead, and then cuts out to like no one being there, and then back to the scene where the dad's like dying again. I'm trying to understand like the relevance. Like, was it just coincidence that the helmet was there, or is there some kind of significance to that scene a little bit more? Because I feel like it's very significant.
Maybe I feel like it's coincidence, but in season 2, if they do that like right away again, then I'll be like, okay, I guess his dad's leading him to someplace. But I think it was just coincidence, so they could have Harcourt not call him out at that moment, because if that helmet's not there, she's gonna keep questioning like, what the fuck's going on, dude? Like, you just shot a poison dart at a tree, like you're not right, and everything like that. So I feel like it was just for the coincidence, but who knows? What else about that's what I want to talk about, the dyebeard moment. Like, that moment was super touching for everybody, when obviously what I'm referring to is the one of the scary movie guys just like, what's wrong with your face, what's wrong with his face? And he's like, excuse me? He's like, his face, like his beard, like it's all colored and everything, like why does he do that, why does he dye? And then he just is like sitting there quietly, and he's trying to think of something, and he's getting emotional, and then he starts explaining why, and he just explains that he's been single his whole life, and he's just very lonely, thought it would make him look younger, but it does the exact opposite. It just makes him look older, because he didn't know that until someone pointed it out and made him feel really bad. And Chris is like, fuck, that's me. And it's just super sad, and he's starting to get emotional, and then of course scary movie guy walks, just like, man, humans are pathetic, aren't they? And then it's like, yeah. Like, and like Kirklin's laughing, but for me, I did not laugh at all. That was probably the most heartfelt
moment. It's just thinking back on it now, it got me. Oh, fucking loser.
Yeah, but like him explain that to me was the most emotional thing that has happened in this show, because it's just like, man, you feel so bad for the guy, and you kind of know why he's almost a little bit of an asshole too, and he's insecure, and it was good for Peacemaker. I think I wish Peacemaker and him maybe they had that moment at the end where they like said goodbye, but like he was like doing the fake jerk off thing stuff. I wish he maybe apologized, or brought up and like apologized in a Peacemaker way. So I think that was missing there. I know some might say, oh, you can do that in season 2. I feel like the Harcourt thing you can build to. This was so meaty of like, he should be like, this happened just in the moment, he should be talking about this. With Harcourt, she's waking up, it's been days. I feel like there could have been a little bit more there, so that was a con for me. But that scene also really well done by the actor, because it's not like he's been bad or anything, but he has some moments in the show, but this was a bigger moment for him, and I think he really delivered. So yeah, that was a home run segment for me.
Yeah, absolutely. Like I was saying, like, in the moment, I wasn't laughing hard.
Kirklin's this fucking Peacemaker over here. Diving these fucking losers.
No, it was a really touching moment, especially like the zoom in shot on Peacemaker, and when he's realizing that he is that bully. And I feel like pretty much this whole season has been like a big transition for Peacemaker from being that super insecure bully, you know, that would just lash out because he's super insecure with his own upbringing, his own just like his whole process of just being the Peacemaker and just killing people and always doing that, whether it was his dad telling him that, whether it was Amanda Waller or like whoever was, he was kind of trapped in the situation that he was raised up in, and then also just like making friends. I feel like a big theme also in the season is actually trusting people. He goes back and forth with that on Adebayo, but also just the relationship that him and Diebeard have. Like, I think it's like the very first episode or second episode. I shouted out when he's like on the bed and he's just having like an emotional breakdown. He's like, "You always push everyone away, like even Diebeard, even though he could be your friend." Like he knew that could have been a potential friend, but he's just so insecure. Like, so he just has to be a bully. He has to lash out at others. And then like this is just another emphasis on that right at the end of the finale when Diebeard is just spilling his beans. Why'd you spill your beans? And yeah, no, it was a good moment. But just looking back on it, especially the Scary Movie guy, I feel like he just makes anything funnier. I know what you did.
Is it I know what you did? Or
no, it's not. But you knew what I was talking about.
Is it just I know, or is it everyone knows, or what?
It's I know. Just says micro penis. Oh.
All right, great movie. Taylor, any thoughts on Diebeard, or do you want to move to a new topic?
I loved his character and his development in this episode. I thought it was great. Starting from when he's going in and the guy from Scary Movie just comes up and is like, "Hey, what are you doing?" And he's like, "I'm guy from Scary Movie."
We won't learn his name. He's just the guy from Scary Movie. And we wouldn't call the other people that. We'd call Anna Faris, Shane, Sean, and Marlon Wayans. But he's the Scary Movie guy.
Who the fuck did this? But yeah, he's
Bobby's got a little dick too.
He's oh, it's so good. Yeah, I'm looking up like a gif of that scene. But
no,
anyways.
you can't play that. There's a male penis on there. You'll take this YouTube channel down. Don't put that.
I'm not going to. It's just his reaction is so good. Oh my god. But yeah, no, just when Diebeard's going into the barn and the guy from Scary Movie approaches him and says like, "Hey, what do you think you're doing?" And he just turns around and he's like, "I'm taking this into the barn." It's like, "Okay, just making sure." Like, what the fuck? And Peacemaker's like, "Holy shit, that worked." But just the moment he went in and he started puking, and then he felt really heavy when he got in there, and then when he saw the cow, just totally like freaking out by it, drops the helmet, just gets the hell out of there. That's when I really did think he was gonna, you know, eat the eat bugs, I guess you could say, or eat butterflies and
eat bugs.
I really felt for him when that bloody fuck. I really felt for him when he was kind of venting and just sharing the actual truth, because I wasn't sure how that was going to go. And they didn't need to fucking put this in. We didn't need to have this like 45 seconds of exposition of this butterfly just confronting him and saying, why is your host dye his beard? Why is it like that? We didn't need that at all. But James Gunn went for it, did it, and it totally paid off. It worked. So I'm happy that we got it.
Yeah. Let's take another ad break, and we'll be right back. We need to recover.
You found it.
I know. Let's take another ad break, and we'll be right back. Kirklin, you're writing these down, right? You said you were going to be. Okay. Let's see. Big Wumba in the chat saying, "Boys, don't mean to toot my horn, but I called the butterflies motive like episode 2 or 3 of the reviews." Well, Big Wumbo, I feel like 1, you got to be a Scary Movie fan, and 2, we can talk about that quickly, where they revealed that they brought the cow there, and their planet like dissolved and stuff like that. So the cow was going to be used to feed them, and their plan was not to like take over Earth for power. It was just to live there. something, which I'm sure some people it's gonna, I don't like, it all depends where you fall and everything like that. But then the aliens are like, yeah, we decided we're not staying on Earth because you guys are just fucking shit and you're gonna turn all the shit. And I liked the, I liked the whole sentiment of, we try to do this but people are denying science, they're being selfish, they're hurting others. One little incident and people talk about their freedoms being taken away. And man, sometimes with my Twitter and Facebook, this hit it nail on the head. People throw up a flag thinking, oh, this is what it means. It's like, oh no, you're just using that for excuse, little person. And that's why I like the aliens. It's very current. It's very like The Boys, where it's like, yeah, we were gonna stay here, but you guys are awful. It's kind of like Ultron and Vision and Age of Ultron, where it's like, yeah, these guys are doomed to fail. And then Vision's like, yes, but
you took it as they were gonna like opt out and leave Earth, because I didn't get that impression.
that's
at
why
all.
they were. That's why they were going. She says that. She says they were going to come.
But
to
they're going to
Earth.
like Ohio.
Yeah,
You know what
she said they were moving the cow to like another cavern on Earth, but they were staying on Earth to change
I thought they were
the political
teleporting that
system.
cow away, like ways away.
No, to another cavern. They were staying
Yeah.
on Earth to save
okay,
humanity.
I missed that part. So, but that's the same thing. And Peacemaker kills her, and right away he's like, "Did I make a mistake?" And I think we're gonna see that he probably did, because I like, oh, well, depends where you fall and whatnot. But I like that they're hitting on current themes, and yeah. So see, I missed that part, but they did talk about the whole like, yeah, you guys are just so shitty. Like, what are you gonna do here? Because they did not mean to come here to take over. They just wanted to live somewhere, even though like living somewhere, they still have to kill all these people, right? Like they still like they don't like share the body. They break in the brain and that's it. So there you go. SBUP says the same thing, moving out across country. So I completely missed that, because I swear when they said like we need 3 people to teleport this thing, I didn't think it would just be to like another spot on Earth. So there you go, Travis Snell.
Just when John Cena, Peacemaker, I guess his name is, when he's given the option there to help them out or not, and he doesn't. He takes out the cow. That was another one that actually just had me belly laughing, was the fucking torpedo helmet. He just fucking sends Adebayo into
I couldn't
the
believe
cow.
it.
I couldn't believe it either. No, I was like chuckling like the first time when she comes down, she just shoots into the wall. It's like, okay, that
Yeah.
was pretty funny. But when when she's like probably concussed, just like literally just dragging herself into the room, and he just sends her at the cow. Again, that was just that shock humor. It just had me going. It worked for me.
For me is when she like, because yeah, you're right. Like she has no idea what's going on, and then like she gets sent, and then she falls out of the guts, and she's like, "What the fuck?"
And I was surprised they killed the cow like that. Like especially because the cow, I feel like they're trying to make it almost like it was there against its
That
will.
was very
sort of thing.
James Gunn-esque though, how they killed it. So I wasn't thinking anything
wasn't a
else.
fan.
Well, I wasn't surprised at him. I still thought like somehow this thing might make it out because it's kind of a victim. But no, James Gunn, like, no, this cow, it's going down and stuff. And yeah, R.I.P. to the cow.
Here, I found a GIF here.
It's not the size of the hammer, so now you're throwing it out. Which doesn't make much sense either, but we love. I think his name's Greg too, so Drax would be
Greg.
proud. 100% Drax would be proud. Not of this scene that we're showing off here, but so we talked about torpedo helmet. Let's talk about Bio. She had a big arc here where she's kind of accepted being a killer. I know Clay said it earlier, he was not a fan of John Wick Bio, but I think it's like a tad rushed for her having her doubts, but okay, in the heat of the moment, she had this kind of uprise of like, I'm going to do this, I'm going to be this person. And then to me, the biggest thing is she gets to go home with her wife. That's great and all. And then she, like, what is so interesting, because we don't know the fate of what's happening. We're going to talk about the big thing coming up here. But with DC, if we do have Harcourt in Black Adam and we do like Flashes resetting some stuff, they're literally showing they're literally set photos of the Batgirl movie, and it's Michael Keaton and Jim Gordon together, and it's JK's Jim Gordon. So they're completely, looks like, don't get mad, people, they're rewriting DC, and they're maybe going to have some sort of, new continuity, but they're going to try and connect it all again. The fact that she, is part of Argus, and she literally sells out her mom on live TV and is talking about what the Suicide Squad is and why it should be disbanded. That doesn't mean it's going to be disbanded, but I was like, wow, there's some, this feels like there's going to have bigger repercussions than we thought. And even then, yeah, we have that big surprise we're going to talk about. That was big too. I was like, just seeing the fact that we're seeing this on a TV show is crazy, but the fact to me that was almost even more so crazy, and that's where I think that I some of those Clay, like I think next season they'll get a villain that might be higher profile, and I know he was talking about like, oh, Deathstroke, and there's lots of other options. I actually think like Waller herself with some other bad guys like might have, like this season, right, she was in 2 times. I think she could be the actual threat, because whether it is, I don't know if she's going to take out her daughter, what the deal is, but I was really caught off guard when they kind of did the outing of the Suicide Squad, and to me that is a big moment. Like, what does that mean for season 2 of Peacemaker? What does that mean for James Gunn's other Suicide Squad spinoffs? What does that mean about a potential Suicide Squad 3 or the Suicide Squad 2? It really was like a big kick in the door of, okay, it gave the show stakes. It started as this little venture, but they really did some big things. So Kirkland, anything about Abaya, and also just like, what did you take from the squad kind of being publicly known now, at least if people believe it?
Yeah, no, I definitely agree with what you said, where it caught me off guard. Because yeah, like this is consequence that doesn't just sit in the show Peacemaker. Like this could go, like this is already affecting the people that was in Suicide Squad, but also I feel, I don't know, just it's possible like the DCEU, like some sort of consequence coming from like this news. It's a big deal, and really was not expecting that right at the end, very very publicly. I was almost in disbelief, like when she was on screen there, like there's no way this is actually happening. But then you actually see Amanda Waller react, and yeah, very very surprising, and I'm very intrigued on the level of consequence that it has, because they could really, like they could write it in a way that it doesn't have that big of an impression, like outside of the show.
People don't believe her, that's
yeah,
it.
Yeah, exactly. But this definitely, I feel like, gives a good hint at what at least will be talked about in season 2. So,
and I like that it happened. I still even feel like this is a little bit rushed, because I feel like she just went from her mom brought her in here, that she maybe was scared or didn't know if her mom made the right call, but it still seemed like she like loved her mom or cared about her mom, where this is just kind of completely throwing her under the bus. So I feel that we needed maybe a little bit more for me. So I'm happy what we got there, but I still think it could have been fleshed out a little more. Maybe we'll get that next year. But I like everyone else just saying, oh, you're bad as your mom. You're going to be as bad as your mom. But she still has that connection with Waller, right? So that's why I wish even we got a scene where maybe Waller chewed her out or was acting really shitty towards her. But it didn't really happen. So Taylor, what do you think about the Suicide Squad being revealed?
I think it's kind of a good bow to wrap up the whole fiasco of the Suicide Squad. I think you have, that original film, then you got the redo over, and I think with this, it's just like, hey, we're finished with the Suicide Squad. We're not gonna get like a third one in that sense. I think this.
You don't think so?
I don't think so. I think we're just going to be getting these characters continuing their stories in other mediums like the show and whatnot. I think you could see Harley Quinn popping off in another movie of sorts, with other prominent DC characters. I think, like I said, it was just a great way to kind of close out that whole ideology of like, hey, the Suicide Squad. And I think it was really like powerful. It was a great way to kind of end it off and make a statement like, my mom is Amanda Waller, and she's running this top secret government program where the convicts, these villains, are earning years off of their time sentence by doing horrible things for the government. So I think it was great. I loved how she ousted her, and I loved getting that just quick brief scene of Amanda Waller like what the fuck, like just totally shocked. I don't see her killing her daughter. She looked more like she had just to accept this look of defeat on her face, and she was like, I'm gonna kill my own daughter. I don't think that's in the cards for her. I didn't get it at all throughout this, their relationship in this show, as brief as it was. So
yeah, I don't think she'll kill her, but I don't think she's gonna make her life easy. Like that like I don't know if it, like, okay, she wouldn't kill her. Do you think she would go as far as, because I don't know how like dark James Gunn wants to go.
Her wife.
That's what I was wondering, right? Of like, I'm not gonna, like, I just wonder, because they did cover some dark stuff. They literally had Peacemaker, like, yeah, it was his brother, but like punch a kid and this kid die on screen. Like, this show is kind of hidden a lot of dark stuff in there. So I don't think so, but Waller is that type of character in the comic books that will, cut you down or find some sort of way. So I feel like, I don't know what the repercussions are, but I feel like either way she will be probably the one of the main villains, or at least more of an antagonist next season, which I want, because we don't, like, Amanda Waller is, or I guess I should say, oh God, why am I forgetting her name? She's like the greatest actress in the world. Like you could make that argument. Oh my God, why can't I? Who plays Amanda Waller? Someone look it up for me.
I don't know. That chick from Scary Movie.
Not her. Oh man, why can't I can't think of
That's
the name at
Bob's
all
gonna
right
pop
now.
in here. It's gonna be delayed after we find
Yeah,
it. though.
but Taylor
Viola
O'Fine.
Davis.
Viola Davis, thank you. You could make an argument that she's the best actress in the world right now, and more of her is great, and more of her is Waller. Oh, S Bob's,
Sorry,
Taylor
S.
beat
Bob's
you.
beat
But we could just be lying. The delay every time we just be like, oh, we beat you.
Oh,
But
it's delayed.
yeah, we'll see here. Family Play says that kissing scene of her and the fiance was lingering. I thought the fiance was going to bite the bullet. She still might. I think that scene went on a little too long, but I also think James Gunn just likes to do that for
a lot of spins.
a lot of
Getting
spins.
dizzy.
But James Gunn is a guy that just likes to poke the bear. So if there's anybody that's watching this show that is like Peacemaker's dad, it's like, I just want to see my superhero stuff. No, I don't want no gay people on my screen. James Gunn's like, yeah, we're going to have a full minute scene of these girls making out. So buckle up. And then they get mad and they tweet about it. And then they come back next season. So, anything else specifically we want to talk about before the big surprise? Of any characters, any moments we haven't touched upon?
Nope. I'm all good.
All right.
Maybe
so
I
let's-
guess Goff. That was
Right. Yeah. He survived, which was surprising. And
Mhm.
I feel like next season he will take over another body again and he's going to be a recurring character. And I like that. I really like that moment when he's like, oh, and you fed me and you took care of me. Like, I can see there's more to you. So I was caught off guard by it, but I like it. I don't know how everyone else feels about that. Again, he's just kind of secretly keeping this butterfly, but I guess it might be the last of its breed now, right? Or last of its kind, I guess.
Yeah, I liked it as well. I'm very similar with you. I'm curious how much of that jelly Peacemaker's just got, right? Because he doesn't have his cow anymore, so it's pretty limited amount of food that the butterfly can actually eat now. But yeah, I'm glad he at least stuck around, and there was at least something that came out of all that bonding time that they spent, because they didn't have to do all that. It could have just been a waste, but it wasn't, so that's nice.
I imagine they've got barrels and gallons, like
True. I guess
all
if
over
it's
the
just one
earth.
butterfly, yeah.
Yeah, so I would think that they probably are stockpiled for a good amount of time, probably at least a few decades. But
That's all
Decades.
of season 2. That's
I
all
would say
season
a few
2 is.
decades. Like they were pumping that cow
yeah, but
right
what
up
if-
to like.
What if they lost that
teleport.
in an explosion?
True, but you have to think like how many years of stockpiling they did beforehand, right? However long they've been on the earth, like they've clearly been stockpiling warehouses, like the one that they attacked when they shot all those other butterfly workers, right? They had like giant vats full of it. So you have to imagine there's probably dozens of those all across the world. So I think there's like a fair assumption that they'll be able to stick around for a while, but there is that unyielding end to their civilization now, which it made me feel a little depressed, to be honest, coming out. Like it was very heavy, just thinking like, wow, this is a lot of weight to this end, and this is just an entire
They killed a bunch of our
civilization.
people.
Yeah, but they did it, for the right reason, I guess.
Oh
you could
my
say,
God.
right? I did,
Thanos.
you know.
Yeah.
Did you not hear her case that she made? It was a very, very compelling case because humanity is just on this downward trend of putting, political and money over all these other survivalistic approaches. So what
This
do they
is
do?
such an
They're
after
trying to
nine
t-
conversation.
They're
that
trying
I
to
would
take
steer us
over.
to,
They're
but-
trying to take over humans and direct us on a path that is more of surviving and not being on this like greedy trend of financial gain.
So you agree with the villain in this show?
I wouldn't even say
That's
they're
very
necessarily
interesting.
the villain. They're
Okay,
they
but you
were-
agree with the butterfly?
I feel like I kind of do.
No.
It was a sacrifice they were willing to make to ensure that the human species could carry on and exist and not fall the same fate as their planet. It's not like Thanos where you're just trying to eliminate everyone. This was like, hey, some people are obviously gonna die because they're resisting, everything staying as it can be and be growing to be better instead of the earth just going in. Anyways, after nine story.
As I said, I think the villains had some great points. I'm just surprised you also feel they make some great points. But we'll see. Maybe they'll make a comeback next season. But I think that Butterfly is gonna come and help out John Cena at some point. I guess. Who knows? Anything else? All right, we're going to take our last ad break, and then let's get to the main event because we got lots to talk about. It's not just a surprise because we all know, but there's lots of conversations because I've seen so much talked about this today, good and bad, and just questions, everything. So lots of angles. So we will be right back, and we're about to talk about the Justice League. And we're back. Kirklin was taking that ad break. Did you see him? His eyes was like so close on the camera. He's like,
I don't want to. It's nice when I have the exact number, not ish.
all right,
Makes it so much easier.
You just gotta. All you gotta scroll is look for the silence, and it's there.
No, there's many
So-
times where we talk and then
It's
there's
not that
there's the
easy.
silence. Yeah.
Oh,
exactly.
whatever. Anyways, let's talk about Justice League because I could be playing Fries and Dawn right now, but fucking Taylor had to play Hide the Zucchini or something.
I made it on time. What are you talking
I
about?
don't know. Anyway, so they arguably save the world. We'll get in that another day. Either way, they kill the bad guys. They're trying to get Harcourt to a hospital, everything like that. Oh, God, excuse me. Trying to get Harcourt to a hospital, everything like that. And John Cena has her picked up. They're walking. They're a unit. Here we go. End of the finale. It's going to be great. But then in the distance, well, first you just hear some like whooshes and stuff like that. You're like, oh, wonder what's going on here. Like, who could this be? Or what could it be? And then in the distance, you see the silhouettes of certain characters. And these characters are Superman, Arthur Curry's Aquaman, Barry Allen's Flash, and Diana Prince's Wonder Woman. Now you see these, silhouettes, and fun joke where Peacemaker's like, you're fucking late, you missed it all, which is great because they weren't around Suicide Squad, and then they're here, so it's almost great that they're probably going to get the credit. But as he's walking away, these characters start to turn, and I was fascinated because I'm like, man, they did a really good deep fake or whatever effects on Jason Momoa because that looks like he's actually there. But then these motherfuckers turn, they're in the light, and they're talking and dialoguing, and you got Peacemaker's kind of like, oh, what, you got too busy fucking a fish? And Arthur's like, man, I hate that rumor. And then Barry goes, well, it's true. And then just again, all the James Gunn hate that he must have to Flash is he's channeling me, because then Aquaman just goes, fuck you, Barry. And then they move away. But there's lots to talk about with the scene. But what did you guys think about? We've talked about this so much as far as on newscasts and in separate reviews where people brought up, who could we see? Will we see any Justice League member? Yada yada. Like, we've talked about this quite a bit, and I'm somebody where I always say trash. Told you I was completely wrong because I thought, I don't want to say no chance, never say never, but I thought, one, if we did get anything, it would have been like the silhouette. I would have never thought there'd be actually footage of them filming new stuff like dialogue. Sure, it's quick, but it's still something. I still would have thought gun to the head, absolutely not. So, Kirkland Patzer, what do you think about seeing the Justice League?
Yeah, that definitely kind of blew my mind. Immediately, I knew what all like the controversy was with all these leaks, or not even leaks, I guess, just spoilers. Yeah, it was a big deal because I was watching this episode earlier, and Shay does not like the show, so she was kind of like doing her own thing. But then she just got a glimpse, and like it even caught her attention when she came over and was like, "What the hell? What's going on here? Like, why are these people in this show?" So. It's a pretty big deal when someone like that has no interest with Peacemaker at least just stopped to be like, oh my god, okay, is this a DC show? It's like, yeah, where have you been? But no, it was crazy because I was really expecting just some weird silhouettes, not actually seeing the characters at all. But when I actually heard Momoa's voice, I was very surprised. Yeah, at first it was a funny joke with Peacemaker just reacting to them being there, but I mean, I would definitely want more interaction there, especially with just all the jokes that have been going around of him just targeting different members of the Justice League. Whether it was rumors with what this episode was Green Arrow, is that his name?
Yeah,
Or
they made
just
Green Arrow joke about having a big butthole.
Yeah, and then throughout just Diana IF&M, Superman. There's just been so many jokes with those characters. I was hoping for a little bit more interaction, but I guess beggars can't be choosers. It was pretty cool that they at least made it there. And even if that's the last of we get them in the show, I think it was a fun, clever thing to do because it again just ties the whole universe together.
Mm-hmm. Taylorfield.
I was just blown away. I'm glad that you dropped us that spoiler warning because this was definitely not at all what I was expecting. And it was, like you said, one of those things where I'm kind of thinking like, oh, is this going to be just a deep fake? Did they get the Mark Hamill deep fake guy over at DC now? Like, what's going on? And I think it was a great setting to kind of play with it because Man of Steel, Wonder Woman, they didn't have to have those two actual figures there, but there's just the dark and the fog was kind of covering their faces, which was great. And then you have, the Flash and Aquaman. As soon as we get that scene when they walk past them and Aquaman turns, like, holy shit, it's actually Jason Momoa. This is actually super cool. What a nice surprise. And then sure enough, then there's actually Ezra Miller there, Barry Allen. And I just thought when he drops that line and then Aquaman's like, fuck you, Barry, I was like, holy shit, I was taken aback, like, wow, this is cool. Like I would never see in the MCU one of my like superheroes on screen say like, fuck you, Iron Man, or like something like that.
Deadpool, you might get your shot, right? If that's
true.
happen.
That's very true.
It's Kevin Feige, fuck you, Iron Man.
So it was just kind of like refreshing. Yeah, I know. It was just kind of refreshing just to get that dose, and that's something I think that DC can really kind of like take charge with and kind of run with at this point in time. That's just, yes, we have that with Deadpool, but just Avengers, Justice League, we got Justice League doing it first, just dropping like F-bombs and stuff and like insulting each other. It's just very cool to get that kind of James Gunn-esque twist to it. So
plus remember too, Batman did that last year in the Snyder Cut where he said he was gonna fucking kill the Joker, and that's they've had that happen. But that's a bit more different, and this is something I want to point out because it's such a cool fact. So Asbub says the first official Marvel scene of the DCU. So how the scene came about was, so the guy that's playing Myrn, he is the villain in Guardians of the Galaxy 3. But in order to get that role, he had to do a screen test. So they are on set, and Warner Brothers / DC let James Gunn and the crew there shoot a screen test of the actor to send over to Marvel. So they owed them one. So this scene of Jason Momoa and Ezra Miller was actually shot on the set of Guardians of the Galaxy 3 with Marvel. A Marvel crew shot this for them so they could send over. And this is where, and we've always said this before, but if anyone ever thinks there's legitimately like a real feud between like Marvel and DC's company, stuff like that, Feige allowed his team to literally shoot a scene of the Flash and Aquaman and send it over to Warner Brothers to use. And that's such a cool fact that they like filmed that as like an IOU of like, okay, yeah, you did the screen test for us, so you film this cameo, and I guess it just worked out set wise. They could come down there. I doubt it happened, but man, I hope there's some fucking set photos of like, imagine the Guardians of the Galaxy and then like those two suited up together. I doubt it's that. I guarantee you they did on off time stuff, but that would have been so fucking cool if they found a way to be like, hey, let's just do a photo of like Aquaman with the Guardians of the Galaxy, especially because Jason Momoa auditioned for Drax and he turned it down because he said he wanted a leading role. Like he felt like it was too set. So that I doubt happened, but still just a very cool like history moment of like Marvel filmed a DC scene and sent it to him.
What do you think Feige is going to get in return? He's just going to pull one of those.
No, he already got it already. That was the screen
got
test. That's why. Were you not listening?
I didn't understand like why the screen test was like a big thing.
Because they need, because if they don't get a screen test, they're not going to prove this guy being the villain of Guardians of the Galaxy 3. So it's like, okay, we'll do a screen test. Well, how could we do that? Instead of them having to use their own money, they're already on a set, but they would have to get approval. James Gunn couldn't just use DC's money and be like, hey, I also shot a screen test for Guardians of the Galaxy 3. I hope that's cool. Like, they had to approve it. So that's why Marvel, that's James Gunn said that Marvel actually owed them one. So that's how that happened. So, one day we'll get that movie. But anyways, so it's interesting for a few things because, and I actually, S-Bubs has pointed this out, I've only seen people reacting to it. I've not actually seen too many tweets of discourse for DC reach peak Star Wars levels of toxicity today. I did not see it. I imagine it's just that one, Justice League's not being used by Snyder, so people are pissed. I imagine it's tough because it is true, and we're going to talk about this, but there's two members missing from this. And this has been, and there's kind of two coins I have this. So Batman wasn't there and Cyborg wasn't there. Taylor Field, what is your what?
Oh, I was gonna say like let me guess. I was gonna pick Batman, but I totally forgot about Cyborg. I was gonna say Shazam.
Let you guess. I thought you would have just known that he was part of the Justice League. But why do you think those members weren't there, Taylor?
Oh, I don't want to get like political here, but like it's because Warner Brothers just has this kind of feud going on with Cyborg, like the actor.
I imagine so. That's how I read it.
Okay, I'm not the only one.
Yeah.
As far as the Batman goes, I think they don't want to kind of steer people away. Like they want people to think, hey, don't look at Ben Affleck as Batman at this time. You know, we got Robert Pattinson's Batman coming out in like 2 weeks. He needs to be, focus on him.
And Michael Keaton will be replacing him. Yeah, I'm not sure if, let's see, people supposedly respect Ben Affleck and Ray Fisher but get mad when they don't show up in a Warner Brother movie. Well, it's so tough because, and I'm kind of Kirklin off here, but I'm just responding, I suppose, where to me, I saw those Hines all day because it's interesting as far as, okay, so you're replacing, the word is right now, Ben Affleck's getting replaced by Keaton in the fall, right? They're going to do a switcheroo, change the universes, yada, yada, yada. Okay, cool. So it's weird, and this is why Hines had brought this up to me, and I went the complete other direction. And I had seen some other people in my timeline say the same thing, where he's like, well, they showed Cavill's silhouette, but, it's still Cavill's Superman, so that gives us hope that could be, him eventually again. To me, I was the opposite. This is Shazam all over again, where they hit his face. Again, you could make that case for Wonder Woman, but it's such a messy issue where it's like, okay, if Batman is getting replaced in the fall, the rumor is Cavill's also getting replaced in the fall by Supergirl, right? So why would you have Superman's silhouette there? Like, and obviously you wouldn't have Supergirl in this moment because she's not there yet, but why would you have that there? And it is interesting. My answer, and it's a lame answer, but my answer is just Warner Bros. Is a fucking mess and they never know what they're doing. They're just trying to get some semblance. I literally think that they went, okay, James Gunn literally said that he wrote this in the script and he said like flew under the radar, and then DC eventually caught it. I was like, oh wait, you're planning on doing what? And then they had conversations, he said, about it. What I guarantee you is, hey, I want to use the Justice League for this joke. It'd be fun. Could I get any members? They figure that out. I think Warner Brothers went, sure, but we don't want you to use Cyborg because the obvious, political issues. No, we're not going to do that. Even though you could have just done a silhouette. It doesn't really make much sense when you did a silhouette of Wonder Woman and Superman. But okay, you don't want to do that. And Batman, I think Batman's just this weird rule of like they like to be very superstitious with them. We talked about a story like less than a year ago of they want to do a joke on Harley Quinn about him eating pussy, and they're like, well, Batman doesn't do that. He can't be doing that. So it's like, and even James Gunn said that when they made that joke about Batman not killing people and he was acting like a pussy, that was like the only joke Warner Brothers had a problem with. Warner Brothers is very particular with Batman and they're very careful with Batman. Are they over careful? Yeah, it wouldn't matter if you saw a silhouette, but I literally think they went Cyborg, no, because political, and Batman, no, we don't want him part of this show just because he's Batman and he's on a higher tier. That's what I legitimately think. I know people are reading so much into why is this character here, why is this character there, why is Cavill there but he's not there. I literally just think it's those two reasons, and it's just Warner Brothers is going to be Warner Brothers. Kirklin, what did you take into like Cavill being silhouetted, no Batman, no Cyborg? Because, like Wonder Woman's silhouetted, but we've not heard anything of her being replaced. They're making a Wonder Woman 3, so it's like that's where there's a lot of mixed signals going on with this scene of like, yeah, it's a fun scene, but people still, I think if it was just everyone was silhouetted and you got Momoa and Ezra, people would be like, oh, those are the only two they could get. But the fact that it's, two are silhouetted, two are live, and then two are missing. It is a weird, like, you can see why people are, the theory crafting's going on, like, okay, what's going on here?
Yeah, fair. I think I liked your pitch. I think I would put my chips on that one where, like we're getting Aquaman 2 like pretty damn soon.
This year.
We already,
10
same
months
thing
away.
with the Flash. So it really makes sense that we are seeing them because they are like they have properties coming out of Warner Brothers like this year. Wonder Woman, very like I'd say successful financially like series out of those two movies. The first one's phenomenal, second one not so much, but I'm sure it still made a lot of money, and just a very like rich IP, so people could make an argument of like, well, why aren't they just showing Gal since that is their gal to have in the Wonder Woman role? But I think it's still really ways away.
It's probably like the earliest. What would 2000 like earliest would probably be 2024, and that's the earliest. I imagine.
And then everything that you said else on like Cavill, unknown, no reason to really show him, just show the silhouette, and then Ray Fisher, totally agree with you. It's probably too political, and then Batman, they just. Yeah, I think they were okay with just having these four. I'm one that I really didn't think too much of it. It was just like, oh, okay, Aquaman talked, Barry talked, that's fun. I noticed that Cyborg and Batman wasn't there, but I didn't really think too much of it. I'm like, it's Peacemaker. Like maybe if this was Justice League the movie, and then they just don't even talk about it, and like Batman's just not there. It's just like, oh, okay, what, like, what's the reasoning there? But I didn't really get impacted too much by it.
Well, no, and I think you brought up a good point. Like, they have those projects coming up, and I guess people, because Clay brought this up of he's doing in a bunch of like the triggered. We want directors to have creative freedom and stuff like that. If people have problem with like the jokes and stuff like that, I can go like that. All depends on your humor, right? 'Cause I remember the lead up to the Snyder Cut when they're like, "Oh, Batman's gonna drop an F-bomb." Like, oh man, this is Snyder being really dude bro. Like, I'm gonna make sure Batman says fuck, and I was like, I don't know if I'm gonna like this. And then when he did, I was like, oh, this made sense. And like people, I one thing I saw, like, oh, this is not how they act. It's just like, this is just a one little scene in Peacemaker that's really not going to mean anything. It's more a payoff because you know what it does mean is, yes, like Kirklin said, they're promoting 2 projects. Aquaman and Flash got 2 big movies coming out in less than 11 months, right? But also, when I tweeted this out, this was like, I don't know, the episode's almost been out in a few hours. It's been out for a full day. Peacemaker is still trending online. You know why it's trending online? Is because of this shit. You know why the fucking Mando season 2 finale was trending so long? Because of Luke Skywalker. And this is their Luke Skywalker. You know, like this is like a huge thing. It's the same way like Kingpin show up in Hawkeye. I don't think that's as huge, but if we were to, it's funny that in DC the Justice League showed up on a streaming service before the Avengers. But if you had one of the main, you know, like everyone was talking about, Doctor Strange is going to be in the finale, WandaVision, blah blah blah. If you have one of those happen in, you know, Disney Plus in the future, you can make the argument of like Loki as the main character. But I mean, like one of those main surprises, it just goes like, okay, this is a huge moment. And Marvel's done similar things. They will. Now this was DC's. And just like your example with Shay, that people now, if they didn't even hear about this show, think about this. Obviously, who knows what's canon between the Justice League and the Snyder Cut. But either way, the last time we saw them in the theaters was in, 2017. This is their, and then you got the Snyder Cut, but this is their next appearance in the canon is in Peacemaker. This will get, if Peacemaker was not on your list, which right now it's the best reviewed DCU project as far as Rotten Tomatoes, it's like the #1 show on HBO Max. It's doing well for a show that supposedly people did not want. It's doing well. This even boosts it anymore because if you hear, oh man, Justice League was in that, sure, it's a quick scene, but one, you're going to go watch it because now it's like, oh, it is a part of that DC universe. They are trying to, I think they are, and I want them to, they are trying to do the MCU crossing over things again, like they're dabbling back into it. Hopefully it goes well this time because I'd want a DC universe again. I want both, but I think the thing is now is you had this happen, and you know there's so many people, back to my spoilers of, oh damn, I didn't know that was gonna happen. That's really cool. I should have been watching Peacemaker. So when Peacemaker season 2 comes out, you'll remember why I should have watched this. Right, they fucking had the Justice League in there, and now I feel like, not saying they're gonna pop all the time, but now since it's the Pandora's box, I could see one of these characters popping up again because they let him do it. Even if it was Batman Cyborg, they still let him do enough to have not just the silhouette. The silhouettes could have been like, okay, that's fine, but to have actual dialogue and actors, that's where it's like, oh shit, they let him do that. So I feel like having the Justice League in there just props up the show that much more of this season than future seasons of being like when this show started, when we went back and forth, like, hey, are we going to review this weekly? And we decided to. If we would have knew this beforehand, we'd be like, oh, of course. If Justice League is going to be like, we have to because that's a big deal. Now I feel like this gets the show even more so, like, for season 2 on the big deal, where before I think it was kind of under the radar Peacemaker, you know?
Yeah, absolutely. You brought up a lot of great points.
Let's see. Family Clay says these are fictional characters that anyone can be. You just have to put the silhouette and leave it at that. Peacemaker season 2 have Cavill and Godot and Flash and Aquaman in the silhouette. Flash and Aquaman. Yeah, I get what you're saying. A friend watched the entire season last week to prepare for the finale just because of word of mouth. And word of mouth has been great, I think, for this show. I think it's just been gaining more and more. There's people that don't like it, but I don't think I think they were already not liking it, or it's just like they don't like it, but it's not their cup of tea, and they moved on. They're like, it's not my thing. But oh shit, I can't remember what else I was gonna say. It was something about the silhouette, I thought, and everything, but no, I can't remember. You guys have any other points on the silhouette, the Justice League, the future of the Justice League? So like clearly, this still means they at some point want to make a Justice League too. You know, it was a messy situation, but
at some point maybe, but I think at this point, like spiritually, they just kind of can live on through other mediums. I think kind of like I think so. To kind of like piggyback on what you were saying, their use in this was great because like you said, it's gonna put this show on the map and have people think like, oh, I gotta see it. Justice League is associated with this. That's great. It's kind of like, hey, we're gonna put like you were using Star Wars as a reference, but hey, you put Luke Skywalker into like The Mandalorian, you put like Luke Skywalker into like The Force Awakens, everyone's gonna be so fixated on it, but you use the characters in the right kind of way where it's not gonna take over from the highlight of the other characters. You're not going to just disregard Peacemaker and be like, oh, Aquaman and Barry Allen. You're gonna get that little bit of dosage of them that just puts it on the map and still be really jazzed on the characters and the storylines that you've got, where you'll come back for that second season and really enjoy it. So I think it was well done.
So Taylor, you said someday. So let me give this bet to you. I'm going to give this Kirklin too. Do you think in the next 5 years we'll get another Justice League movie? Because I'm a full-on yes. I think that's the whole reason they're starting this. You're going to have Batgirl as a new member. You're going to have Supergirl. You're going to have Flash, Aquaman, Shazam, or The Rock.
Justice League with the same actors and actresses?
Yeah, with Momoa back and
Ray
Ezra
Fisher.
back.
And Ben Affleck in there?
No,
or
but that's
we Robert
no,
Pattinson's?
because they're going to replace him with Keaton. They're going to. I've said this before. Batgirl will be the new Bat character on Justice League. That's what they will do. They'll have her be that. And if Cavill doesn't come back, it'll be Supergirl. So I'm just saying, I think a new Justice League in this world, whoever the players are, doesn't have to be the exact same roster. But you don't think they're going to do it anytime soon? Because I think next 5 years,
within 5 years, you could see it with how much they're pushing. But I mean. That being said, like I'll agree with you, but I won't be surprised if we don't see it. I feel like their whole narrative they're kind of pushing for is just kind of focusing on this new Batman trilogy, focusing on setting up these new characters in their own kind of elements and doing different storylines like the shows and stuff. I don't necessarily feel like they're going to be running to get a new Justice League when they can just do what they excel at, which is their own, Birds of Prey kind of like different adaptations and storylines.
So it's funny that you say running. If that's the case, why are they doing a Flashpoint movie where they're going to reboot and fix a bunch of stuff and introduce a new Batman when they could just ignore Affleck's Batman and be like, oh, we're just going to do Wonder Woman, just going to do Flash. Why even replace him with Michael Keaton? Why even bring in Supergirl? They're doing a whole movie that is like, we're going to change some things. That
Like,
to me shows they got plans.
Why replace Ben Affleck with Michael Keaton?
Yeah, because if you're saying like,
I think because
use...
Michael Keaton or Ben Affleck just wants out. He retired his bat
then why
suit
not
and-
just pass it and you don't need to do other Batman movies, right? That's the thing. But
I mean, why bring in Keaton then? Why not just use Pattinson altogether?
Because Pattinson's in a different universe, and in my theory, they want to make another Justice League movie, so you need a Batman character, but Affleck doesn't want to do it, so Keaton is the next best option, or a Batgirl Keaton combo.
Why would Keaton be the next best option? Wouldn't it make sense to set up, Robert Pattinson's Batman and then have them tackle that universe?
Because
So
Matt Reeves has said he
universe?
does not want to do any of that. He wants to do his own thing. So he's off the table. Pattinson's off the table. So you'd have to go either you recast and get a new Batman, or you go with someone in the past. And Michael Keaton's to me
Can
the
Reeves
obvious
make
play.
that call if it's not his IP technically?
Well,
If it's Warner Brothers?
that's why he said the only way he would do the trilogy or do this movie, but to me it's probably the trilogy, is if it would be its own thing, and they agreed to it, and it's its own thing. And in interviews he's stated that this is not going to be its own thing. And Bale back, I think, as much as I love Bale, I think Keaton does have more stock because of the nostalgia of he hasn't played this role since 1992. He is the first theatrical Batman. I think Keaton, with him training Batgirl, is the smart play.
Not George Clooney.
No, I don't think that's the smart play.
I don't think George would want to do that either.
No. What about you, Kirkland? When do you see another? Do you think there's a Justice League brewing? Because obviously this appearance will create that conversation of okay, when could we see them next? And if so, when?
Yeah, next 5 years. I think I would take that bet.
Suck it, Taylor.
I think with all these new characters that are coming into sort of replace the old cast. I don't think that timing is out of the ordinary or anything like that. It's definitely planned. And I think the fans are due for a new fresh Justice League. So yeah, I would say next 5 years.
Plus, I guarantee you, I know lots of people have seen the Snyder Cut, but there's still some people that haven't, and even then it's the same crew. 2017, what that is now fuck, that's 5 years ago now since we've had a Justice League movie, you know, and I think they do kind of want to redo, and as much as people might hate to say it, they do want their Avengers. They do want a movie that comes out, is a fucking guaranteed $1 billion. You had BVS that didn't make $1 billion, then you had Justice League that had $1 billion. That stung, and I think that's why they did their Birds of Prey and Jokers, but once they see stuff like Endgame and No Way Home, and even though they were planning on bringing Keaton back, I just mean, like they know of like what a successful connected universe can bring you, you know, and I think that they do want that, and I think in November you're going to see a lot of big setup for that. And Warner Brothers Clay says Warner Brothers thinks taking 5 steps forward is the same as taking 5 steps forward. I don't know if that's what you meant though, Clay. Flashpoint is their way to get back to phase 1. 100%, but like, hey, I give that. Let's see. If it works, it works. I always use Days of Future Past as the example. Days of Future Past set up X-Men perfectly. Now what happened was the sequels after, not so good. And it kind of, yeah, there you go, Clay. 5 steps forward is back is what he meant to say. I was like, that's why they're confused, you know? But no, I think we'll talk about that all in November. So, Kirk and Patzer, what would you rate Peacemaker?
Yeah, I think I'm gonna give it a 7.75. Not quite enough to bring it to an 8. I think there are some moments that is, I don't know, not heavily invested in, but that's a solid score for what kind of what I was expecting going into the show. I think I was surprised. I got, the humor hit me really well, and I think I got a lot more just touching, emotional character moments than I was expecting, and that was a pleasant surprise. And Justice League cameo at the end, that was lots of fun. So yeah, all in all, fantastic show. I'm excited for season 2.
I'm surprised. That was lower than I thought.
Lower?
Yeah. I'll bring it up because I'll go 1 point further. I'll go an 8.5. So that's just rocking underneath that.
I was
like
7.75, so you're not quite a full point.
Okay, sorry, I thought you said 7.5, but just under that, like an A rating. I can't give it that because I had, some episodes better than others. There's some stuff, even this finale, I went, I was missing that, or that was lacking, or that was a little rush. But still, again, for a finale, it stuck the landing. It made me excited for the future, but it also just brought closure to what we got. I had a hell of a good time. I'm excited because Emily hasn't watched it, so I'm excited to watch it again with her, and just certain moments is like what we laughed about today. So yeah, an 8.5 for me for Peacemaker, and don't know when we'll get season 2, but I'm excited to see what they do.
I'm probably gonna drop it a 7.75 like you, Kirklin. I think that's actually a really perfect number for this
nice
this
DC
show.
Haters.
It was way higher, and then I saw Momoa, and I just brought it right down.
It made me laugh. It had a lot of good humorous moments. There's some humor that wasn't like perfect and had me going, but there were some jokes that I liked. I was caught off guard by some of the characters and the developments of certain things. How the story kind of changed pace, just getting aliens in there just kind of caught me off guard, but I enjoyed it. I like getting the Justice League, and there were many other elements that really kind of caught me by surprise. So it's not like a perfect show, but it's definitely on that, like the cusp and that higher end of being up in that, like the A plus kind of zone for me for a show. So I'm happy with it. I'm very happy with the ending we got, especially the fact that it's left open and we got that confirmation of a sequel, second season, which is absolutely fantastic. So I'm looking very much forward to it, and I'm glad we reviewed this show, because I know at first we were kind of like not sure if we were going to do it or not.
No, I'm glad we did too. And another thing talking about DC, I'm excited to consume is they just released the Catwoman theme for the Batman, so I'm gonna do that. So yeah,
when's the Penguins theme coming out? Because
he doesn't get one. He says he only has like 15 minutes of screen time. It's just like I'm the Penguin, raw fish, but or raw dog and fish,
raw dog
and fish. But yes, that is Peacemaker. We've reviewed it all. We'll be back next week. This weekend, tons of stuff dropping, like I said at the beginning. Just subscribe, and I promise you, it'll not be boring. What are you laughing at?
How does he get his name? You raw dog's fish.
Bye-bye.